Hey guys, Jay-Sensei here again. This is going to be What If Invincible Awakened His Powers Early, Part 3. I think we all watched the Invincible War. Spoilers if you haven't. Rest in peace, Rexplode. I'm gonna miss him. By far, probably one of my favorite Guardians. But let's begin. I think we left off with Mark growing from Omnikid to now he is in 17. He is invincible. In fact, he has been throughout the last year. But, well, he had a different costume change. He just didn't go by Omnikid. He didn't know what his name was until recently. He didn't know what to call himself. So for about a year, he's been a solo hero, but then at 17, he finally has a name to put to the power and suit. But, yeah. So. But, let's begin. So, Mark turned 17 while he had long outgrown the title of Omnikid. Now the world knew him as Invincible. His reputation was unmatched among the young heroes. He wasn't the most famous, but he was everywhere. He was the face of his generation. There was Adam Eve, the teen team, which actually includes Forager, aka Ethan Brandyworth, time around. If you don't know who that is, go to the last part. But for a little rehash, basically he was phase 2. If you guys saw Adam Eve special, he's phase 2. Eve unlocked removed her mental block temporarily, and turned him into a human by accident. He was basically meant to just try to use her powers to, just fight well, basically. Just try to, go all out and defeat him. Jason turned him into a human, then now he's Forager. So, yeah, and he is her younger brother. But, yeah, back to this. Yeah, so he's basically the face of the new generation of heroes. Even the Guardians have their eye on him. They want him to join, but he mainly sticks to being with Omni-Man. Not being with him, but being like him, where he's a reservist. He's not someone who will be on their team intentionally, but he'll be there to help them should they need it. Now, he has just a new suit, which is the one you see in the thumbnail, just minus the 3. I just put the 3 there because why not? He had a white and red jacket, white covering, some of his chest. Basically, you see the suit right here in the thumbnail. That's what he looks like. The jacket is based off of another Invincible variant, but I changed up the mask and the color scheme. And he has boots instead of just having his toes out for no reason at all. But yeah, basically he has the jacket, then under the jacket there's the Invincible suit, which actually is just the same as usual, but there's no mask, and the color scheme is such to be Omni-Man's. So yeah. He has a suit just because Art had it on on a back burner, and he had it as his color already, and Mark has had it too long to actually change it. So he's keeping it not because hey, I want a new suit design. No, he already changed his name, and he's been a solo here for a while now. He just doesn't really want to have more changes because they kind of just be bad press. So yeah. By now Eve, who's 17, Ethan, who is 16, they kind of estimate his age, being 16. They have grown into incredible heroes in their own right. Eve goes by Adam Eve, and she surpassed basically every expectation set for her. Including Dr. Brandyworth's precise training, basically based off the fact that he'll set up a program for her to train in. She does those a lot. She's a very refined hero. In fact, she's also one of the most physically, not surprising, but her skill is definitely up there. And this Mark had also been trained by Darkwing, and the new Darkwing, who's also a hero now. They're, in terms of skill, overall skill, the most skilled is definitely the new Darkwing. Number 2 would probably be of the most famous heroes. It would be currently Darkwing. 2, it'd be then Nolan, then Mark, and then I would say a good 4 would probably be Rex, and then 5 would be Eve. So yeah, so those are some of the more skilled heroes. And she is the strong member of the teen team in general. She can basically just destroy them all with one wave of her hand. She just doesn't need to do that. Ethan is the second strongest. And, well, Ethan's hero name is Forager, as I said before. Ethan's personality is quite unique, as he always refers to himself or others by name, never using pronouns. He just says, Ethan feels this, or, instead of saying, oh yeah, Mark's pretty cool, he says, He says, Mark is pretty cool. Instead of saying he is, he'll just replace pronouns with names. He just doesn't do that. It's very similar to the character Forager from Injustice, because I thought of the name Forager, thought of Forager. So here we go. And the reason being that Eve didn't really fully put his brain all right. His brain is a little off. In fact, Eve's brain, she basically carbon copied her brain to his, but didn't form it right. That's why his speech pattern is very, very weird. But people think he's stupid, when in reality he's almost as smart as Robot is. So that's very surprising to some people. Where he is 16, he is on track to graduate early. But yeah. He's also very easily excitable, which actually makes him a very big spectacle to the public eye, making him the second most popular hero, aside from Invincible. So he is, due to quote-unquote adorable personality, he is the second most famous hero. And his power is basically literally he can just control his atomic structure. Like, not, you can't, where Eve can control anything else and her own, Forger just controls his to the nth degree. Like, he can do anything with his body, he just doesn't do that all the time because it's weird. And what he does is that, like, no, it's not what he does, but his power is basically limited by imagination. If someone as timid as Ethan is, it's very tricky. Because at some point he can just turn into a fucking kaiju if he's angry enough, or he'll just be in a battle and he'll basically just be Plastic Man in a fight. He'll be Plastic Man, or he'll be a kaiju that can turn a city to ash in 5 minutes. So, yeah. But it's very just odd. Now, unlike Mark or Eve, Ethan did not need a mask. Eve doesn't really use one, but if people get up close, she has one. But for Ethan, he just literally changed his face a little bit. He changed his eye color, his nose shape, and his jawline a little bit. And those differences make him look different from the actual Forager. Like, let's say Forager, he has bright blue eyes or bright green eyes, he's a very distinct nose, and a good jawline. While then Ethan looks just brown eyes, rather average nose, and his jaw is pretty average. Maybe small, just double chin, small one. Yeah, so he looks a little different. There's not a lot, but a little. So, yeah. Now, Mark, now Invincible, had a few heroes of his age could dream of. He was the biggest celebrity of the young heroes, and he wasn't the most famous overall. He was the most one willing to engage in PR, which makes him pretty famous. But, yeah. Now, one day, Mark walked through the hallway, flanked by Ethan, Eve, and William. And there's the best friends. And those are the few people who know his identity. Mark Sebastian Grayson, he's the social hero. Timothy Wilkins Brandyworth, as she added that to her last name, is a science hero. Ethan Brandyworth, the shifting hero, Martian Man sidekick, Forager. William Clockwell, the only non-hero in the group, but he's trusted enough to know their secrets. While they walk, they do come across Todd, the school's resident asshole, cornered a girl by her locker, Amber Bennett, trying to basically just, I forget what they're doing in canon, but it's basically the same thing here. Now Mark just walked over without hesitation, would grab Todd, and basically just toss him across the hallway, or just across the lockers, like it's nothing. So yeah. Now Todd would rush at Mark once even like everyone's getting Amber killed. Todd would rush at Mark in a swing. All Mark really does is just duck, pick him up with one arm, and drop him in the trash can. Just that easy. Now, a month later. On the Wall of China, Invincible's locked in combat with a dragon. Massive claw scraping at him against stone as well. I've said that very, very badly. He's pinned against the wall, scratching at him and the stone of the Great Wall. Mark gritted his teeth and wrapped his arms around the dragon's throat, wrestling it into submission. Eventually, he gets a phone call. He pulls out his phone while holding the dragon in a headlock in one arm, answering the call. And it's Ethan. Weird. Ethan hardly really calls unless it's important. Ethan usually just flies. He can just grow wings and just flies to him. But Mark answered, and then he heard Ethan's voice breaking, sounding like he's crying. And we hear, Mark, Cecil arrived. Cecil told Ethan that, Cecil told Ethan Martian Man is dead for the rest of the Guardians of the Globe. Unmanned at the hospital with Mark's mom, Mrs. Debbie. Now, Mark can tell Ethan that Ethan's playing with him. Ethan's words made it really hard to believe him sometimes, but Mark could tell with Ethan crying, he had to believe it. So Mark would tighten his grip on the dragon, faints, he drops it, and jets across the world at top speeds. As he flew, he would crash into the GTA hospital. Not like into it literally, but he flies through it at top speeds. Debbie had to walk out the door until the door would burst open. Mark tumbles through with flames on his back because he's patting them out as he was just going that fast. But in the room, he would look at, Nolan in a coma. They say that he suffered some pretty big injuries and don't know who could have done this. And not even Mark knows. He doesn't think any of Omni-Man's enemies could have done this. The last time he struggled was against that kaiju in Hong Kong a few months ago, or a month ago. Then he went to the morgue. Mark stood in the morgue, dressed in civilian clothing, staring at the lifeless bodies of his mentors and some he considered friends. Beside him were Eve, Ethan Darkwing's protege. I had to call him Darkwing earlier, that's because he doesn't have a name. I'm calling him Darkwing. He just doesn't have a name. But he wasn't Darkwing before, but he is definitely one of the more skilled characters in the series still. But yeah. Now, totally loved ones of each of the Guardians arrived. Martian Man had no family. Only people who mourned him were Eve, Ethan, and Mark. That was it. No hidden family, no secret loved ones, just them. His protege stood solemnly beside Mark. He wasn't a sidekick anymore. He has to be the new Darkwing. Mark did train with him a few times throughout the years, and it was with him on a certain weekly basis. Aquaria, the Queen of Atlantis, approached Mark Grayson personally. She gave him a nod of respect. And she tells him, "Mark Grayson, my husband spoke of you often. You were the kindest surface dweller he ever knew. Thank you for being one of the few who would treat him with genuine respect." Olga, Red Rush's widow, would clasp Mark's hand, and she tells him, "Joseph always spoke of you. You made it easier for him. Talking super speed, keeping company, stuff that I can't do made him happy. Thank you." War Woman's assistant, a stern but grieving woman, looked at Mark in the eyes, and she says, "She respected you, saw something in you. Would you attend the funerals not just as a hero, but as a family?" Without hesitation, Mark said, "Of course." Green Ghost relatives didn't come by yet, and the Immortals, the only loved ones, were the Guardians. Now, at the funeral, the hero would watch as the Guardians were laid to rest. This was not a public funeral. No, this is literally just a funeral for those who knew them. No one could know they were dead, not yet. Mark stood among them as family. He's keeping his end. After the ceremony, the new Darkwing approached him. And he says, "I thought you should know. Darkwing left you half of his fortune." Mark would just blink in surprise, wondering why. He wasn't that close to him. They were hardly friends. It was more like he would stop by, they change for a few hours, he leaves. And new Darkwing just nodded, saying, "He wanted you to use half of it for your training and for your hero work." Mark would hesitate and say, "What about you? Aren't you his heir? You're like his son." New Darkwing just smirked and said, "I'm taking this mantle for the name and the abilities, not the money and status. I don't care about that. As long as I can defend my city and the world, I don't care how much money I have." Mark would just nod, and he's given a check. He doesn't know how it works. He just asks his mom to hold on to it. And before a crowd of heroes, those grieving loved ones, and just government agents, Mark looked at everyone, their grief, their anger, their heartbreak, their just solemnness. He took a deep breath and spoke. Guardians of the Globe were not just heroes. They were not just symbols. They were people. They were mentors, friends, and family. They believed in a better world, and they fought for it, and they died for it. And many will do so after, in their honor. We owe it to them to make sure their sacrifices weren't in vain. We look up at them, away from the script, and just says, "We will protect this world, we will carry their legacy, because that's what heroes do. That's what this new generation of heroes is for." Now, we flash forward weeks later. Mark and Eve and Ethan were standing together on a building, eating pizza, as Eve finished her work with the team for the day, as did Ethan. And Mark was honestly just on his way back from Italy anyway, so he had it. And Darkwing is watching over Midnight City. Anya is still conscious in the hospital, and somewhere unseen is an unknown killer. The Guardians were gone, but the world did not know their favorite heroes had been killed. Now, with this, Mark would set up a bank account, or with help he does. And who better to hold on to it than Brandy Worth, someone he considers like an uncle. Because, honestly, Brandy Worth hardly even legally exists. He doesn't really exist in general. So with that, Mark asked him to hold on to his money, which is about $1 billion. Because Darkwing is basically the Batman of this universe. I'm assuming he has a Batman fortune. So Brandy Worth holds on to the money since he has his own funding from the government and he has his own kind of money. So with this, he's going to hold on to Mark's money. Mark would use $50 million of it though, about $20 million actually, to make his own base. It was hidden in plain sight and about a block away from the Team building. And it was Invincible HQ. Basically a giant man cave, yet also Bat Cave. Or Man Cave. Whatever. It allowed Invincible to receive police and military reports from all over the world, transmitted it through an algorithm, and then it would be put into a large screen the size of an entire wall. And it would be rated out from, like, what kind of threats. Like, is Invincible needed? Should I just call the team? Should I call Darkwing? Should I call, like, it's like who could handle it? So, yeah. Now, one day, while Invincible was coming back from Atlantis to ensure they were capable of sending their Aquarius around, as he was friends with them, he is very close with all the Guardians and their families. He had killed the Death Dweller for them, since, despite it being chained down, it's still a big threat, so he killed it. I just want to know how strong Mark is. I'd compare him at this point to, like, not Lucan, as Lucan's like a pretty average old Viltrumite. That one ginger Viltrumite from, hold up. Yeah, there's one named Vidor, I don't think that's him. There's another one, though. Fuck, Vidor. Like, not the Executioners either, because those were, like, decently strong Viltrumites. But yeah, it's like that one ginger one, I think. I forgot who he was, though. He didn't even have a name, actually. Mark's just strong with that one random unnamed Viltrumite. So, yeah, that one strong unnamed Viltrumite is how strong Mark is. So it's still Viltrumite level, but he can be beaten by other Viltrumites still. But he can take out characters like the Immortal in one shot. So, yeah. Now, on the way through the city, Mark came across the team with Forager, as in his new member, since Martian Man's dead. He's not a, I like how Mark was a reservist for the Guardians. Forager was a reservist for the team. He was Martian Man's sidekick most of the time. But now he's a full-time member. And they're fighting back the invasion of the Flaxons. Mark flew down with his hands in his pockets. Good. Pause. Sorry about that. Mark flew down and grabbed a fallen stop sign, and began moving with hypersonic speed, kind of using it as like a bladed frisbee, or just a sharp one. So, yeah. Oops, hold up. I had a duplicate of a paragraph, my bad. So, Mark stopped sign like a bladed frisbee. And as he moved, he would wield it as, not a shield, as he's basically invulnerable to Flaxon technology at this point, but he was carving through the battlefield. Flaxon soldiers were falling as he struck them with precision and force, and the team was behind him, rallying. Flaxon battle raged on, and the forces poured through their portals, or turned over the team. Then a massive tank rolled on the battlefield, aimed directly at Mark. Moving energy prepared to blast a devastating laser cannon. Mark blinked, at the barrel, then at the team. Back to the barrel, back to the team. He'd just say, did they seriously not know us? Like, a laser cannon? Seriously? I put three villains who use lasers in jail last week. Cannon would just fire. Mark barely reacted. And he'll let out a half-hearted, just, fake effort, just like a grunt like he's using effort, and he just let out, and he slapped it back. And it went right into the tank's barrel, blowing it to pieces. The tank and those inside of it. Flaxen in the tank exploded on impact, and sending flaming debris flying in all directions. Mark would dust off his jacket, and the team would just stare. And then Ethan kind of laugh and just say, "Invincible's ridiculous. Invincible knows that, right?" Mark just shrugs, saying, "Yeah, I know." Flaxen's began losing, even more badly than before. The troops would expect resistance. They had been prepared for, Invincible. Instead of fighting for his life, he was standing in front of their portals, arms crossed, blocking their escape, and says, "Oh no, you don't get to go yet. Because we're just getting started." And then he got to work, or even more so than before. Yeah, punching, kicking, tearing through their everything, like ragdolls. Which are the Flaxens were the sounds Mark was making. Each punch, each kick, every little movement was accompanied by exaggerated, unnecessary grunts. It sounded like someone was pretending to struggle, but not really trying. My best comparison would probably be, if you guys seen that American Dad thing where Steve was having the tennis dream, imagine those grunts as someone punches your head off. That's basically what Mark is doing to the Flaxens. The team was struggling to keep it together as Mark would just tear through the Flaxens like they're nothing. Rex Bode had to turn away, shaking with laughter, then pulling his mask off to cover his mouth. Just pushing it against his mouth so he doesn't laugh. Billy bit a bitter lip so she could focus on fighting and not breaking. Forger, as usual, narrated the moment, saying, "Invincible's doing the thing again. Invincible enjoys making fights awkward for the enemy." He would just laugh and smirk, saying, "Every goddamn time, Mark." Robot, he didn't care. He was just scanning Flaxen tech, ignoring Mark's nonsense, but he did admit it was a smart tactic. And the Flaxens were beyond frustrated. When the general screamed in rage, charging at Mark. Mark was gruntling, "Nah," and backhanded him through a building. The Flaxens, now realizing they were beyond hopeless, had to retreat to the portal, but Mark was still standing in front of it, and he said, No. You made this mess, now you're gonna die over it." Forger would just wheeze, and to say, "Invincible's bullying aliens. Invincible should feel bad, but Invincible does not feel bad." Mark would just laugh and say, "No, I do not." The Flaxen General tried to get up one more time. No armor or anything. No, just a weird green alien in a skin-tight suit. Mark would let out one final grunt of obvious fake exertion. And with that, Mark would just go, grab the Flaxen General by the collar, spin, and then chuck him into space. Like a full speed chucking him into space. Rex slowly finally broke, screaming and laughing, saying, "You threw him into orbit!" Kate had to cover her own face, in fact, creating clones to cover her mouth so she could laugh. Forger went on hands and knees, breathless, and said, "Invincible should be stopped. Nobody is stopping Invincible. Or nobody can stop Invincible, though." Eve shook her head and said, "I can't take you anywhere, even in fights, I guess." And Robot was still analyzing Flaxen tech, didn't even blink, and just told Mark, Thank you for the help," and give him a curt nod. Mark would still dust off his jacket and gloves, and fly back home. And with this is the end of part 3. If you guys enjoyed, like and subscribe for more. Adios.